Welcome to the Worst of the RIOT Extra podcast for this week. We've got the Oscars coming up. Isaiah, I've seen every single, this is the first time I've ever done this, every single movie that is nominated for the major awards at the Oscars. We're talking Best Picture, that's 10 movies, as well as Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director. Everything except The Color Purple, which is nominated Best Supporting Actress. I did not watch that. So I went through a lot of movies, and I'm going to review them all right here. No, I'm just kidding. But we have different thoughts about movies. We're on different pages. Obviously, I'm really into the Oscar movie stuff. But I want to see, you're still a critic. Would you consider yourself a critic of movies?
I would like to think that I watch movies and I'll tell you if they're good or bad.
Yeah, that sounds like a critic to me. So I've got some questions about what impresses you about movies, particularly mostly about like actors in movies. Number one, which actor has the best hair?
That's a tough question.
Isn't it tough?
People that come to mind for me. Chris Hemsworth. Good hair.
That's pretty good hair. If you're going to play Thor, you've got to have good hair.
Jason Momoa.
He came to my mind as well.
Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper's got that flowed back hair.
Yeah.
That slick back.
He doesn't instantly he wasn't one of the first ones that instantly came to mind for me, but he's got good hair.
Those are some of the ones that came to the top of the dome for me.
I was also thinking, like if somebody was going to be in a Head and Shoulders commercial, who would it be? And so right now, a big name, Timothée Chalamet. He's got pretty good hair.
He's got good hair.
Also, another big name right now, Jeremy Allen White. Very good hair. But the first one, if I had to pick somebody, and tell me if you think I'm right or wrong on this, Brad Pitt.
I was about to add in Brad Pitt.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good features, but I feel like his hair is possibly his best feature. He's got quite the locks.
The thing about Brad Pitt is he's done a bunch of different hairstyles, and they've all looked really good.
They've all worked. The buzzed head to the long and everything in between.
Yeah, like in Fury, he had like the shaved sides with the hair slicked back. Ocean's 11, he was rocking like the early 2000s haircut.
Yeah.
We got Moneyball, where he has kind of like a traditional comb-over type. Looks good. World War Z, he's got the slicked back, longer hair. Bunch of real good ones.
He's got a...
Troy.
Yeah.
Troy's probably the best hair he's got.
He's got a versatile head.
He does.
I guess when you have a face like that, then the hair's just going to work. It's just always going to work. Now, talking about actual acting, what do you think is more impressive in your mind? An actor that accurately portrays somebody that you can like compare them to, whether it's somebody who's alive now or somebody from history, or an actor that is able to like take a fictional character I guess that would have to be that. A fictional character and just develops it all on their own. What impresses you more?
That's tough. When I think about movies where a character has been depicted, completely made up, I feel like that feels a little bit more impressive to me. But that's just because those are the kind of movies that I generally like more anyway. I'm not a big like history buff.
Yeah.
Like I think about some of like the really famous characters. In which category for this one?
Yeah.
Would you put the Joker?
That's tough because it's kind of a gray area because there's been, even though the Joker obviously not real, there's been several iterations of the Joker. So by the time Joaquin Phoenix is doing it, he's got so many other portrayals to pull from.
Like even the comic books and stuff.
Yeah. But
is that a historical one?
But I don't think that doesn't count as historical.
It's not historical, but it's also not a completely created character.
But what about this then? Like the first person to ever portray the Joker, or the first person to ever do one of those characters in a movie.
I don't know.
That counts as fictional to me. That counts as if it's not somebody real that you're trying to, like if you're doing a movie about Abraham Lincoln, Daniel Day-Lewis played Lincoln, right? He was trying to copy, even though obviously we don't have video of Lincoln, but like he was trying to copy Abraham Lincoln. But then again, since we don't have video and he's not alive, that is just as fictional. Portraying him is just as the same as portraying the Joker, because neither one has ever been. You've never seen them live. You don't have anything to compare them to but the written word.
Katniss Everdeen. It's a book.
Mm-hmm.
She'd already been written out.
Yeah.
That's not a created character.
No, but you have to decide how that person, you know what they would say because it's been written, but you have to decide what their personality, like you have to create their personality.
Because when I comp that, like when I comp Katniss Everdeen, who was written in a book, and you kind of already have a feel of what she's like. In the book, you have a feel like I could have acted out.
Yeah.
I read the books before the movies came out. I could have acted out Katniss Everdeen.
Oh, yeah.
Because I already kind of knew. I had a feel for what she was like.
Yeah.
So as good as Jennifer Lawrence was in that role, she was incredible and totally depicted that character so well. I feel as if she still kind of had something to go off of. Now when I think of a character like Michael Scott, which is obviously this is the movie, that's a completely fabricated character that he created and made amazing. And so I think that's more impressive. To have nothing to go off of.
Yeah.
Than being able to have a history of Abraham Lincoln and be able to like depict that in the best way possible.
Yeah.
That's awesome, but I prefer the completely brand new character.
It's interesting that you say that, because as a fan of the Oscars, historically, the Oscars seem to award people that portray characters that are people who existed.
Yes, they do.
Like if you play, obviously, somebody from World War II. If you Gary Oldman won for Winston Churchill recently. This year, Bradley Cooper getting nominated for Leonard Bernstein, Maestro. Like they love to give Oppenheimer is going to clearly win. Cillian Murphy is going to win for portraying Oppenheimer. They love to give the award to people who they can where you can have some kind of comparison. You go, wow, he must be a good actor because he acted just like that person actually did when they were doing that thing. But I tend to agree that creating a character out of nothing or purely out of the written word feels like that's more difficult. But then again, I think
it's hard. If I look at the best movie characters of all time that are all listed here, so many of these characters that are listed at the top have either been written in a book before or are people that were actually alive.
Yeah. Well, that goes to show that in movies, there's hardly ever a movie, especially now, that is made that isn't based off of either something that happened in real life or a book that was written, or obviously now based off of movies that were previously made, TV shows, video game. Like there's just no truly original movie. All right. Here's another question. I feel like I know the answer to this, but is it more impressive when an actor portrays a character that's like very, very different from who you think they are in real life, or like the actor is, or when they just get to play somebody that's very similar to themselves, but then that may be easier, but it's also like what they were made to do. You know what I'm saying?
Like some people play the same character in every movie.
Yeah, like
because that's what they're meant to do.
Not to knock these characters or these actors.
There's one that immediately comes to mind.
Who's yours?
He is in the Magic movie.
Magic Mike?
No, not Magic. No, an actual Magic movie.
Which one?
He's also
the Prestige?
In the Network, I think it is. The one about Facebook.
Jesse Eisenberg is in the Social Network. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, obviously Jesse Eisenberg. That's who I'm looking for.
What's the Magic movie you're talking about?
Now You See Me?
Oh, I've never seen that.
Oh, he's like three of them. He's great. He's the exact same character that he is in every other movie.
Oh, okay.
Jesse Eisenberg.
That wasn't the first guy that I would have thought of.
Oh, my gosh. He plays the same thing in every movie. Jesse Eisenberg?
See, I was thinking like Vince Vaughn or Matthew McConaughey. They seem to have the same...
Oh, Vince Vaughn, that's an easy one, yeah.
Yeah, they seem to have the same kind of character, the same kind of persona in so many of their movies. But that I think Vince Vaughn is actually a great example. When he's just like full Vince Vaughn, that's some of the best. Is it the same as acting? I don't know, when it's who he seems to actually be, but that's some of the most entertaining stuff there is. But then you think, like, if you have an actor, you think you know who they are, and then they do a character that's wildly different from who they actually are who they seem to be in real life. Is that more impressive because they're finding a whole different part of themselves? and making that believable.
I think that might be tougher. Because you think about like Steve Carell. He's doing the same thing in every movie. The 40-year-old virgin, Brick, in Anchorman.
Yeah.
Like all these movies, he has very similar roles.
Yeah.
He's kind of a weirdo.
Will Ferrell does that too.
Dinner with Schmucks. Steve Carell's kind of just a weird guy.
Yeah.
In every single movie that he's in.
Well, here's a good little exercise then. Let's think of actors or actresses that are just able to, where you think of them and you're like, wow, that person has done many, many different styles. They're all over the place. Because we've just named a bunch of people that seem to do the same thing over and over.
That are able to play completely different roles, top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
Who's done completely different things rather than doing the same thing at all times?
I'll tell you, here's a tough one to see if this qualifies. Adam Sandler. Obviously, in many of his comedy movies, he's like Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, The Water Boy. You go back to his classic comedy movies, he seems like the same guy. But sometimes he's branched out. Like many people loved him. It's one of my favorite movies in recent years is Uncut Gems. Have you seen that one?
I've never seen Uncut Gems.
I think you would like Uncut Gems.
I think you told me that before.
Is Uncut Gems truly, it might just be like very extra Adam Sandler or very serious Adam Sandler, but is that actually being versatile or is he just kind of a different aspect of him? But that was one that comes to mind. Not that he's the most versatile actor, but they seem different, but I'm not actually sure that they are now, thinking about it.
Some of the ones I think of, Robin Williams has some great range. He plays a bunch of different ones, like in Aladdin. He played 1 Hour Photo, Dead Poets Society, Mrs. Doubtfire. He's playing like completely different characters in all of these movies. Mm-hmm. Other ones, Heath Ledger. His range is crazy.
Lots of people might say Meryl Streep.
Yes, that's a good one.
She can sing. She's in musical stuff, but she can be funny, but she can be pretty serious.
I'm trying to look up here actors with the best. It's called range.
Yeah.
Is what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Who are some of the top ones they name here? William Dafoe.
That is true. He's in Poor Things, one of the movies that has the most Oscar nominations this year. He's usually a strange guy, but he can be like in a movie, The Florida Project. He is like a very grown up, like mature, sweet guy. But then he can be really deranged too. So he has some good range. That's a good answer. Also, speaking of Poor Things, Emma Stone, because she, as of late, has delved into being much weirder in Poor Things and in the show The Curse that came out this year. But then you think about some of she's also done like Spider-Man. So she's, which I don't know if that would demanded a lot of her doing the Amazing Spider-Man movie, but she's been all over the place. I feel like she has a lot of range.
Yeah, a bunch of good ones.
She's a good up and comer. Now we've mentioned this before, but with the Oscars coming up, how does a movie being nominated change your view of it? I feel like some people might say that a movie being nominated for an Oscar actually makes them less likely to see it because they're going to feel like it's, like it has some kind of ambiance to it that's just not their thing. It's going to be too serious or too preachy or whatever. But what is your thoughts?
I could see that of me being, because a lot of times the Oscars movies for me, they don't seem to be the ones I usually go for. I don't watch a lot of movies that have been up for Oscars, but I would say too, it adds a credibility to it. I think if I want to watch a movie that everybody says is good, then if one of the movies gets up for an Oscar, maybe I'm more likely to see it for that fact. I guess it's one of those things where if I'm scrolling on Netflix and I'm like, I just want to watch something good, I don't want to risk it, then I would watch an Oscar movie. But the majority of the time, it doesn't sway me too much.
Does it make
it means very little to me.
Does it make a difference whether they're nominated or they actually win?
Does not make a difference.
As long as something can say Oscar nominated, then you're like, well, it might be good then.
Yep.
But not, I definitely need to watch this. I would say for me, obviously I'm the type of person, this year I watched every single movie that's up for Best Picture. It's less because I think the Oscars always get the nominees right, and more because I want to know when Oscar night rolls around, I want to have an opinion on all the movies. But they actually, like, they do have some of their similar tropes they usually seem to nominate every year, but I don't think you can give you look at the movies that are up for Best Picture this year, wildly different. Barbie and Oppenheimer, wildly different movies. Obviously, you have some of the more art housey like stuff that only Oscar people would watch, like Anatomy of a Fall and Zone of Interest and Killers of the Flower Moon, that are way more serious, that are less of a wider audience. But I think that's what jumps to people's minds when they think of the Oscars. And obviously, the Oscars all this year, Oppenheimer is going to win a lot of awards. Poor Things, a wildly different movie than those other ones, although still weird and not the widest audience, but definitely different. And then like The Holdovers, that's just a pretty standard. It's a good movie, but a pretty standard. Like I feel like most people could watch that movie, whether you care about the Oscars or not, and probably enjoy it. Let me go through the Best Picture nominees. I want to see if you've seen any of them.
I bet I haven't seen any of them. I bet I haven't seen a single movie that's up for an Oscar.
Have you gone to the movies in the past year?
No.
Not that you haven't gone to a theater.
I haven't gone to a theater.
That's crazy.
I haven't supported my movie theaters this year. Actually, I saw John Wick. Is that this year?
Yeah, that was in the last calendar year.
I think John Wick is the only movie I saw in theaters in 2023. Now that I think about it. And I assume that one's not up for an Oscar.
Did you see Ant-Man Quantumania?
I saw that one not in theaters.
Oh, okay. Then, yeah. I thought you might have gone to theaters for that.
Nope, didn't see that one in theaters. I saw that one on Disney+.
That's crazy. One movie in the past year.
I've watched lots of movies.
I know you have, but you've only gone to the theaters once. That's crazy to me. All right.
Not a big going to the theater guy. Nothing has really compelled me to do so. Oppenheimer and Barbie, it didn't do it for me.
Well, you also think some of these released straight to streaming. So maybe you watch them there. So the Best Picture nominees, American Fiction.
No.
Anatomy of a Fall.
No.
That's half in French, partly in German, partly in English. I wouldn't expect you to have seen that. Did you see Barbie?
No.
Will you ever see Barbie?
Maybe one day.
It's nominated for a lot of Oscars.
I'm sure it is.
Not Margot Robbie, though.
But everybody told me that it's not that great. Everyone told me it was a bit overhyped. Everyone that saw it, nobody told me it was like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest movie ever.
Wow.
Everyone that saw it was just like, it's good. Like, it's a solid movie, but it's not like the greatest movie of all time.
It's fun, though. It's fun, especially if you could somehow. I haven't gone back and watched it again, and I feel like I want to. But it's good, especially if you chop off like the last act of it, I feel. If you just end with the part where Barbie's sad, that might be the best way to watch it. The Holdovers.
Haven't seen it.
That one, if I had to let's finish going through these. I'll see which one I would recommend most to you. Killers of the Flower Moon.
No.
Maestro. That one went straight to Netflix. You didn't watch that. Oppenheimer.
No.
Past Lives.
No.
Poor Things.
Mm-mm.
And Zone of Interest. You haven't seen a single movie that's up for Best Picture. I'm trying to see if there's any others that I feel like you might have seen. There are movies. Like if you go to visual effects, Guardians of the Galaxy. Did you ever see that?
Seen it.
Did you see it in the theaters?
No.
It is up for best visual effects. You see, no, you haven't even seen any of the ones that are up for best animated picture, have you?
What are those?
The Boy and the Heron.
Haven't seen it.
Elemental.
No.
Nimona.
Nope.
Robot Dreams.
Not even close.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Have not seen it.
You haven't seen that. I think people are starting to question your credibility on these.
I said in the very beginning, I watch movies. I'll tell you if I think they're good or not. I never said I was credible on the Oscars.
Have you seen this? This one I haven't seen either. I'm intrigued. I feel like this is a movie that's up your alley. It's up for best visual effects. The Creator. It's on Hulu.
The Creator, haven't seen it, but that one piqued my interest.
Yeah, I've heard people say some good things about that.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Creator. My brother saw it.
Mm-hmm.
He did not sell me on it.
Yeah, I'm scrolling through the rest of these. All right. let me tell you, if I had to recommend a movie to you for your personality that you would like that's up for Best Picture, it's either Oppenheimer or The Holdovers. Probably Oppenheimer because it's a little more action-y. And Oppenheimer is almost assured to win Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Director. It should clean up at the Oscars this week.
The Holdovers has Paul Giamatti.
Yes. You like Paul Giamatti?
I like Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, I like Paul Giamatti a lot. He's really, it's his first ever Best Actor nomination for The Holdovers. He's got an outside shot of winning, but I think it's going to be Cillian Murphy plays Oppenheimer. I'll tell you, I've seen all of these. The best movie I saw did not get nominated for a single Oscar. I think it's an error. It's a shame. That's The Iron Claw. That's the wrestling movie. If I was going to recommend a movie to you, you might like that too. The wrestling movie about the Von Erich family.
That good with Zac
80s.
Efron?
Yeah.
Zac Efron?
Yeah. I thought maybe he would get up for Best Actor, but it was a crowded field in Best Actor this year. That was the best movie I saw. I think that should win Best Picture. Obviously, it can't. It's not nominated. I think Oppenheimer will win, and I kind of think it should win. And I went in skeptical. I was like, there's no way this I don't like Christopher Nolan as much as everybody else. But watching that, it won me over partway through. Sometimes it feels a little frantic, a little too fast paced, a little like it's speeding through things too much. And somehow it's still 3 hours long, but it all culminates together, and quite nicely. And so I actually was very impressed with Oppenheimer. I think it's deserving, although The Holdovers and Killers of the Flower Moon, very good as well. If I had told you to avoid one, definitely don't watch. I didn't like Past Lives.
Past Lives.
Yeah.
I'll skip that one.
It was boring and it was in another language. That's a double whammy.
Yeah, I'm not watching that.
Yeah.
0% chance.
Yeah, well, I can't wait for the Oscars. Obviously, I'll have a full good report coming up. Are you gonna actually tune into any of the Oscars?
On Sunday?
Yeah.
I'll have to see what I'm doing. Actually, no, I can't.
You're not.
It's my grandma's birthday party.
Oh, well, I'm sure she'd like to watch too.
No, it's a natural birthday party.
She's probably seen more of the Oscar movies than you have.
Unfortunately, there will not be a TV at my grandma's birthday party.
It's the worst of the riot.